welcome back to episode 2 of Do It Scared. We're about to dive headfirst into some pretty inspiring stuff. So here's the deal. Matt is not just an ordinary guy. He, in my opinion, is the master of resilience. So in this episode, we're going to be peeling back the layers of his life to find out why. Matt is going to lay it all out there, sharing some gritty real-life moments that made him who he is today. And let me tell you, it's one heck of a story. Starting from his childhood to young adulthood, and even now, Matt's story has a common theme of resiliency, not only in his personal life, but in his business ventures as well. So get ready to be inspired, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Do It Scared, spelled D-U-E, It's Scared, and stay in the loop with our awesome, growing podcast community. So let's get started. So you've been out of the federal system for 3 years now. You're playing catch up over all these years. And you are doing your calling, you are attempting to fulfill your calling of creating that Due South Design Center. Your story has some of the most insane ups and downs I've ever heard in my whole entire life, which is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
But, from knowing you, there is this constant theme of resiliency that people can't help but notice that I think the world really needs to hear about. So I really want to start with your early adolescence period. And, you've grown up in an extremely abusive and toxic situation, just plagued with drugs and alcohol. And, can we start by answering the question of how did this environment shape your early years, especially in regards to resiliency?
Wow. Okay. I don't think that I would necessarily call it resiliency. In this, particular instance, but of course, like you said, it was toxic and abusive from the beginning, and I went through these fantasies as a kid, which I find to be extremely messed up for someone so young to have, a vision of being a responsible parent. But specifically, I can remember being having a conversation with my aunt when I was 9 years old, and she raised me. In fact, I grew up with her from the time I was a baby until I started school, which I was about 5 years old when I came home. And I can remember being scared to death to come home to my mom and my situation. But we had the conversation, and I said, we had Growing Pains was a sitcom in the 80s growing up, Mike Seaver, Alan Thicke, and it was the portrait of the American family to me. I went to this private school with, these kids who had these parents and birthday parties and Christmas times. And I'm not saying it was all bad for me, but I wanted a life just like that. I wanted a family. I wanted a working, functional, healthy, loving unit. So when I was about 12, we, during this time, this is the dynamic here is my mom was the spiritual leader in our family. She never missed a Sunday, never missed a Wednesday. She, made sure that my dad, if he was going to be working under the table, that he sent us to that private school. And that was, all her. And I'm thankful for that. She was that spiritual leader. And my dad, not so much. He was barely ever around. He was a big drinker. He was violent when he drank. And, I'll spare you some of those stories. But eventually she had... one thing or another had happened, and we moved to a smaller town in Hartsville, and or it's actually the smallest county in Tennessee. So small town, private school or public school, and there's this flip-flop of everything in my life. We were living in the city, now we're living in the country. We were going to private school, now we're going to public school. Mom was a spiritual leader and dad was an alcoholic. And right after that move, the roles reversed. My dad got saved, he quit drinking, and my mom became, she went down that path. She became drinking, became, carousing and making friends with, some younger, more troublemaker type people in that town. And it was just tough. Even being outsiders in a small town was an obstacle in itself. And it, um, it just brought up all these things started happening immediately, started getting into trouble. And, right about the time I was around 14 years old, I had, I can remember my mom took me on a horseback ride, and we're out in a field somewhere. He'd ridden across a creek and up on top of a hill. And she asked me if I knew how to roll a joint. And I was like, no, but I think I might have knew how to roll a joint at this time. I'm not sure, but
You faked it.
I wasn't, this was a trap. So I said no anyway. So we ended up going back, and she poured out this big pile of weed that filled up a cake pan and taught me how to de-stem and de-stick it, and rolled up several
14 years old.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, to me, I was like, I was late. Everybody I knew around me was like this advanced, mature
Blunt roller.
partier, No, they didn't have blunts back then.
Okay.
Joints.
Yeah, all right.
This was in the mid 90s. So, anyways, so, the public school situation, this is attractive to me. My dad, I was groomed that my dad was the evil one. He was strict. He was a jerk. My mom was all of a sudden showing me this party lifestyle. It was fun. We had friends. We were parties, and it was happiness to me at that time. And dad was the evil person. He was, this reversal was just, I'm living it, not really taking in what's really happening. And, during this time, mom, for all her great things that she had done, there was a lot of verbal, physical, emotional, and mental abuse there, with just embarrassing and shameful, heartbreaking things that I really don't even have the balls to say, right now, honestly. So, just to kind of, use your imagination there. And, for me, I just wanted to get out. I just wanted to have my own place. I just wanted to have my own home. I just wanted to do my own thing and have my own family, because everything about the situation was fucked up. So even from day one, and I like to say, oh, it was mom or it was dad or whatever the reason was, I didn't even give a damn. I just wanted my thing. I wanted my family. I wanted whatever that looked like. A couple of years into this situation of bouncing back and forth to mom and dad, at one point when I lived with mom, I just completely emancipated myself for almost a couple of years there, and lived with a mentor type of individual. And he was like 26, 27 years old. He had his own place right in the middle of town. He was a genius when it come to home improvement. There was nothing that this guy would not do. And I picked up on that stuff. I was good at it. It's what my uncle and my dad had did. And he smoked a lot of weed. And that was kind of like the thread there too. But, that time came and passed. There was a lot of things from the time when, I slipped into the system. I, had petty charges, whether it be vandalism, simple possession, drug possession, underage consumption, and all the bevy of BS that comes along with that lifestyle. So, when I was 18, I met, I got a girl pregnant. She was somebody that I had been seeing, that I liked, that I wanted to spend time with. And she became pregnant with my first son, Matthew. And I immediately snapped out of this. Well, you're going to have to pause us.
No, you're good.
You just have to edit it. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, honestly, I'm going to keep it just so you know when I raise my hand, I have a question to ask.
Oh,
So, okay, first son, I just want to know as you continue, like, how did becoming father of not just one, two, impact your life? Because I know you had almost this resentment for your upbringing that really turned into resiliency and a wanting to create a better life for your family. And so, what kind of resilience was required of you to provide for your family through these challenging times of still battling these demons? So, like, what resiliency was required of you during that time?
well, first of all, you have another human being depending on you. And, that's a big deal to me. And I can't really go back and say, hey, I straightened it all up and pushed through because I had my first son and this was my big moment to have my family. Did that ever occur to me? I don't think it did, to be honest with you. I'm still a child. I never even got to really be a kid.
Right.
Back when we moved up there, I was in sports and just beginning to actually build my life as a child and define myself in this town. And then I become in with the wrong crowd and basically a pariah. I got kicked out of this town when I was 16. So I am still in this system, dealing with my first DUI when I was 18, my second DUI when I was 21. I had my first son when I was 18. And of course, there was jail time involved in and out of this system. I end up with a felony when I was 22 years old. My second son is born when I'm 23, 24 years old-ish, somewhere around there. Maybe it was 25, but I know they're 5 years apart. So I believe I was 23 when Isaac was born. So I've got two young sons, a girlfriend who was a waitress basically her whole life. And I am putting it together. I had my first business when I was 22 years old. I made this business so that I could get out in front. I ended up with my first felony when I was 22 years old, which I ultimately ran from that charge for several years. And the goal was to build a business that ran on its own so that it would protect and take care of my family while I was incarcerated. I would, it get caught for one reason or another, or get picked up or violated for one reason or another. There will always be the intention of, having a family, putting it together and executing these things so that I can have this cookie cutter situation and be at my moment. Finally at my moment is where, I kept trying to be. Boys, we're going to have it. I would speak to them and write them letters from prison and say, it's going to be like this. We are going to have this. We will be together. And, and I would come out. There would be a time of a brief, you have to hit the ground running. So you have to deal with whatever is thrown at you. And they say these programs are in place, or this, opportunities are out there, but to be honest, there aren't really any opportunities. There are additional expectations because you have to go to alcohol and drug treatment. You have to go to probation. You have to pay fines, court costs, and all this stuff. And all this at the same time, you have people over here, human beings who are depending on you, right? So it makes you think, well, should I be, dealing with some extracurricular activity? How do I do this? Do I need to sell weed? Do I need to do crime? What do I need to do to be able to just get out of this system or this cycle? And that's the type of thing that I dealt with during that entire time.
Yeah. And I mean, I definitely know that we'll have another episode talking about the system and going to prison, getting out and getting rehabilitation, because that's what you're really passionate about. So I can't wait to get to into that episode, because it is truly fascinating. Because it's one of the stems of why you want to do what you're wanting to do. You spent your time in the federal prison.
Yeah.
After you ultimately robbed a bank for the hopes of, again, having a better family life, to be able to provide and just help them out. And again, we will get into that nitty-gritty story some other time. But at the end of the day, you end up going to federal prison. And how were the hardships in that federal prison? It's different than regular life. You end up being in solitude. You end up, having different groups of people you may have not been with before. So what does resiliency look like in a federal prison?
It's an entirely different ecosystem, experience, environment. It's got its own economy. It's got its own set of rules. It's got its own expectations. It's got your own behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Even in my, rougher years drugs and alcohol and with the wrong crowd and in some really tough and rough situations, I was always a little more giving and a little more softer than your usual convict. So I, in a federal system, at least, I can't speak for any other prison, those are things that are picked up on immediately. Because
Wow.
a convict uses most of those guys, and this is unfortunate, but most of those guys grew up in those systems. They know how to navigate their own hustle. They know how to navigate the economy. They know how to navigate people, and they are tuned in to pick up on those character traits and idiosyncrasies of someone who is trusting, gullible, giving, and
No, someone like you.
yeah, exactly. And, I'm trying to keep it real. That's what keeping it real is to me, is by saying, yeah, I was, trying to, rob a bank so I could, fix my family. And, I'm just want to do my time. And
You can't say that.
no, it's gang time in there, and it's mandatory. And you are a member of someone's community, whether you like it or not. You represent to say you, for example, you have dark hair, they would have probably put you in some Mexican gang or something.
All right. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm just saying that, you're going to be classed immediately. If you don't pick one,
like it or not. Yeah.
if you don't pick one, they're going to assign you one. And so for me to, I had to think quick. And I had to use, what I had, and that's what I did. I used what I had. I'm creative, and I'm good at running a business. I'm good at executing a task. I'm a hard worker. So I began tattooing. And that was my hustle in prison. And I had a little calendar. I kept a schedule. Guys would even kind of joke, anytime anybody, after I was established at a certain place, guys that would come and talk to me, they would come and make an appointment to talk to me.
Yeah. And, I know you have some of those drawings. So if, whether you're listening or you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast, I'll definitely pop up a picture of some of his drawings he did in prison, because they're pretty crazy. But no, the artistic ability, is something that's undeniable, as we're doing this podcast. There's a video playing on YouTube of an artwork he's doing right now. And so it's definitely undeniable that your creative abilities have been a thread throughout your whole entire life as well.
It has helped me very much. I'm put in for programs while I was in prison, and those residential drug abuse programs, which are strictly regimented, very hard to live with. If you're in a program out here, you get to go home and eat dinner during the day, but these things you live 100% of the time with people holding you accountable to your walk and your mission, 100% of the time, the way you live, the way you keep your room. So for me to take my artistic ability and tattoo, and then take it to a program and paint murals in there, and just consistently use that, and those programs ultimately brought me to, after you're in there for a couple of years, you dry out, the thought of, who am I? What am I doing? And what am I going to do? Eventually is going to eventually the thought is going to cross your mind, and you're going to start asking your questions. You see guys, I'm going to get out, I'm going to start a car wash, I'm going to get a barber shop, and I'm going to, start a business. Well, ask yourself a question even then. Why start a business? Oh, because I want money, because I want to survive, because I want to be better than I was. Well, those motivators, those principles. And when I looked back at mine was always family or money, and this isn't my first go around, but it is definitely my ultimate go around. And being out for 3 years now and having still being consistent in spite of the ups and downs, and still having my common thread here has brought me, pretty much full circle to seeing that a service to others and a principle centered way of life is the key to success. It's not saying that it's going to make you ultimate success, because it's going to require a lot of hard work. And when I was in prison, I had the time to read books and study and question myself and write. And one of the first books that, the book that impacted me the most while I was in there, and I actually lived a program for 1 year based on this book, daily worksheets, the whole nine. People pay thousands of dollars for these things in college. Was Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And it talks about living a principle-centered life. And it made me question what those principles are and even define them inside of me. Prison gave me a routine. In there, you need to know what you're going to do with every hour of your day, because if you have any idle time, you're going to end up in the wrong place. So, do you have a question?
Yeah. I mean, since you've been out, right? How have you been transformed, and how have you grown since you've been released from prison, professionally and, personally?
Well, it's hard. They say, I have this echo in my head sometimes. It's lonely at the top. And I don't want to say that like I'm on top and like I'm up here or anything like that. But for me to feel like I'm successful, I feel like I've caught up on 30 years of living in 3 years, and it's been no easy feat. And I've had to do it because the first and foremost thing for me is my freedom. I value my freedom more. And I've had to say no to people that I really want to say yes to. I really, want my sons here. I really want friends here. I really want to be involved with people, and when you get involved with certain people, you're also involved with their shit, with their messes, and their drama. And being in prison and being able to be, very acutely aware of certain signals or situations, it brought me to that, to being hyper aware of things that are going to endanger my freedom, and I've, even in my business, I've tried to help guys and do things like that. And those things have brought me, just touching and close, to that area that I don't want to be anywhere near. So, being out here, prison affected me, and out here, it's not only, giving me a total respect for my freedom and putting it like at the top of my priority and principles list, but it has it's taken me to from just recovering, being a new person in society. You need clothes, you need food, you need, infrastructure, personal, social, and economical, and your personal logistical situation. People get out. I see guys in the halfway house. They're going, "Hey, somebody get me a job. Somebody get me a place to live." And, I got out of the halfway house, and I got out of prison, and in federal prison, it's mandatory for you to do a certain amount of halfway house time based on the amount of time that you did, right? So mine was 6 months. So I come out in January. It's peak COVID time during this time too, and 2 months after touchdown, I'm working for myself. You know, I got a buy here, pay here truck and enough tools to where I could do small jobs on my own. And I quit my job and got a lead service and started taking small jobs.
Yeah. And just so people know, like, when you're in the halfway house, you are not allowed to have a business at that time.
Yeah.
Like,
totally against the rules
whatsoever. And, actually a couple of months ago, we got to meet up with one of your assistant administrators, which is like a vice president of, like a company, right?
Yeah.
And you told him that you had a business during that time. And what did he say to you?
So he said, yeah, I knew about it. I was like, he said, I think his words were, well, we knew what you were doing, Matt, but you weren't making no messes. I was like,
literally word for word.
Like, let's see what this guy does. If he starts making messes, then we'll shut him down. So I was getting up every day. I was going to work, and I'm navigating through problems. Like, there are issues with customers. There are issues with timing. There are issues with material availability. And, I have trailers. You can't park a trailer there. I could.
Yeah, during COVID. Yeah. Did everybody remember, everyone decided to be a home improvement person too? Like I was, and there was no wood.
Yeah, so I'm running a business. Yeah, that's right. Everything cost $1 million.
Yeah, right? One piece of wood was like $10.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm killing it. So, and during this time, I'm in the halfway house, which means that I have to call them every move I make. Hey, this is Matt Jones. It's something o'clock. I'm going to McDonald's to get lunch. Hey, this is Matt Jones. It's something o'clock. I'm leaving McDonald's and going back to this address. I'll be there. Hey, I'm at the address.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like that all day, every day, right? And until I finally do make it home, which by the time I made it home, I had already rented a house and had it furnished and waiting for me and empty, basically a living, breathing home that I didn't even live at when I finally was able to get out of there. So I finally make it home, right? I make it home around June-ish of that year, which is 2020. And so, I spent my halfway house time and the money that I was making, working for myself, furnishing my house, dealing with, just the basics of recovering, like as a human being. There are no they say there are programs. They say there are resources. They say there is support out here for felons. And yeah, you may be able to go down to Goodwill and get a 10% discount on some clothes, or go over here and get a free meal somewhere. But the programs that are for, let's say, businesses or felons owning businesses and stuff like that, they are startup loans, whatever the support is. The ones that I've checked into, at least, yes, let's say they're federal grants or federal support for felons who own businesses, but you can't get those grants or support unless you have this particular license. And guess what? It's illegal for a felon to get that license in this state. So there's this catch-22 there. The support is there, but you can't get it.
Right.
And so dealing with it's been a long road, even dealing with issues like, I'm actually kind of proud of this because I was able to bypass 5 years of technological evolution. And, I'm rocking an iPhone 14 and a Galaxy S23, an iPad, and I've set up
GoPros, drone.
Yeah, all
yeah, you don't even know.
Yeah, so I'm, and using that stuff efficiently. I've got that stuff attached to mounts in my truck, and I'm moving and using wireless apps and systems. I have an app for my invoices. I can thumb out an invoice, running down the road. Not that I do. I'm gonna say
disclaimer.
But if I have to pull over really quick and thumb out an invoice that's I have
Efficient.
developed a very efficient system all to basically go and move and have kind of jumped out here like hopscotch and did this and made it happen.
Yeah. And, you're out starting a business just for any average person is already difficult, right? But then you coming in, with your criminal status makes it 10 times harder with the system. And, that leads us to, that's the reason why you want to start the Juice Health Design Center.
That's
right.
Exact reason why I want to do this, or why it's not that I want to, it's necessary.
You need to,
mm-hmm. It's necessary, because with this, it offers everything that I've needed out here. It basically gives it to someone, now we can get into those details, but the point is that people need the real ability to do this, and not someone saying that the ability is there so that they can have so that they can sleep at night, so that the government can say, okay, the systems are in place. No, there are no systems in place. That's why people are out here. That's why the situation is what it is.
Yeah.
That's why guys are out here looking for jobs. That's why you see someone come out and have a barber shop for one a week and then it's closed. That's why you see guys start up a lawn service, but they don't have a lawnmower. The Deuce Design Center is going to do that. It's going to be able to give someone everything that I did not have. And you look at me and say, well, you did it without any help. Well, you know what? I'm the exception to the rule.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
I really do, because I grew up with these skills. I grew up with a specific, set of talents that may or may not exclude me, but this is for everyone. This is for people with no skills. This is for people with zero opportunities. I've done this type of work my whole life. So, I knew what to do. I knew where to go, and I took a chance. And people shouldn't have to take chances.
Mm.
Shouldn't have to go against the rules. So
yeah, that's such a great point.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
No, I mean, it's just, again, I can hear this story 100 times, and every single time I'm still amazed at really the power of your resilience and how, from childhood to now, it's just incredible. And I can't wait to see what the future brings, because of course there's going to be obstacles as we build this. And I just know that people can believe in you and support you because of your proven resiliency over the years to be where you are. So if your story isn't a testament to your dedication to what this, design, this nonprofit can be, then I don't know what is.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I mean, I am scared. And every time we do this, I feel like talking myself out of doing it. Like, why should we do this? And I feel like I just, I'm just scared to do it. And then that brings me to the do it scared motto that we have. So
yeah.
I feel like just by us talking, by us saying this stuff, I mean, for me, there's nothing that I want more than, I don't even care about, once I got out here and I filled my house up full of furniture and, I was like, what do I even need this stuff for? I don't even care about this stuff.
You don't.
I'm telling you, the thing that I care about is the Due South Design Center. I even bought a lottery ticket yesterday. I said, well, if I win this lottery ticket, then I can build the Due South Design Center and I won't need anything from anyone. And we will have those systems in place. We could even build grants. We could even build our own grants for those systems, for those people. So it's important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just where I'm at with it. So it means a lot to me that you believe in me.
And I think I'm going to be one of many. I believe in you.
I hope so.
Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.